Hello everybody, my name is Prashanth and I'm a joint PhD student of the Computer Graphics Lab at ETH Zurich and the Digital Humans team at DisneyResearch Studios. On behalf of our team, I'm happy to present to all of you our latest work where we introduce shape transformers, a topology-independent morphable 3D shape model built entirely using transformers. 3D shape models play the important role of serving as a prior over the complex variability of natural shapes. By providing a compact representation of shape variability, deformable shape models are a valuable practical tool for several applications, including monocular reconstruction and tracking of human faces, bodies, and hands. While traditional shape models rely on linear techniques such as building a blend shape model or a PCA model, recent research has built deep shape models as they offer higher representative power while also remaining more compact. The simplest way to build such a deep model has been with a fully connected network or an MLP that models dense global interactions across all points on a given shape. Such a fully connected model has been explored by several methods before, and these models are free to represent arbitrary correlations across the input set of vertices. A problem with such methods, however, is that these networks often generalize poorly outside the training data and are tied to a specific topology or connectivity of vertices seen during training. On the other hand, graph convolutional networks or GCNs make use of the graph connectivity to define convolutions over the appropriate local neighborhood of an input vertex. Generally speaking, GCNs are not tied to a specific topology as the network is able to make use of the given adjacency information while performing convolutions. While the localized nature of these graph convolutional networks makes them efficient and small in size, they introduce difficulties in modeling long-range relationships across vertices in the graph. This problem can be overcome to some extent by pre-computing or refining matrix operations for mesh down or up sampling that respectively decreases or increases the resolution of the topological graph of a mesh. Another type of topology-agnostic shape models are built using neural continuous implicit representations, where an MLP operates on individual 3D points as an input. These models represent the 3D shape as a level 0 isosurface that must be searched within the represented volume using a root finding algorithm. While implicit models are fully topology independent, they are only starting to be explored in the context of a morphable model. In this work, we introduce a new way of thinking about building parametric shape models, the shape transformer. The shape transformer is a deformable 3D shape model that exploits a transformer's self-attention mechanism to learn nonlinear spatial correlations of arbitrary extent over 3D locations of a class of shapes. At the heart of our approach is a transformer-based autoencoder that deforms individual points on a canonical shape while leveraging self-attention to transform local information using global context. The result is a powerful shape model that can operate on meshes of arbitrary topologies and spatial resolutions. Let's now have a closer look at the shape transformer and how it works. A typical transformer operates on an input set of tokens by transforming them into a desired output sequence by modeling token-to-token interaction via self-attention while also individually modifying the tokens using residual MLPs. In our transformer-based autoencoder for shapes, the input tokens are given as an arbitrary set of 3D locations on the canonical shape and a set of corresponding 3D offsets that lead to a target shape. The sampled 3D points on the canonical and target shapes are first individually fed through a 4-layer position or an offset MLP respectively that maps them to an high-dimensional latent token. The input to the transformer encoder is then obtained by concatenating the corresponding canonical and offset tokens into a single sequence of latent tokens. Position encoding via this concatenation step effectively tags each offset tokens with features related to a specific position in the canonical shape and thus helps the transformer in learning spatial correlations. The goal of the transformer encoder is then to produce a single shape code from the collection of its input tokens. This is, however, in contrast with the key property of transformers, which are sequence-to-sequence architectures that provide as many outputs as the number of input tokens. To address this issue, an elegant solution is to introduce an extra input token similar to the class token used in language models such as BERT that is learned along with the parameters of the network during training. This single input shape query token is itself a part of the encoder and remains constant after training. Unlike the other input tokens, this special token is not position encoded. This mechanism allows us to retrieve a single shape code from the encoder irrespective of the number of input tokens or positions. For our transformer-based decoder, the input tokens are given as an arbitrary set of 3D locations on the canonical shape, as is for the encoder, and a shape code vector. As when encoding, the sample 3D canonical points are separately fed through a position MLP to provide high-dimensional input tokens for the decoder. The decoder consists of a sequence of 4 transformer blocks with standard residual MLPs, but with modulated input tokens. Instead of concatenating each input token of the decoder with the shape code is used to modulate the intermediate activations that serve as an input to each decoder block. The decoder outputs a different set of seek tokens as in a standard transformer, one for each queried canonical point. Finally, each of these output tokens are independently processed by the output offset MLP to produce the final 3D offsets that are then added to the canonical point, resulting in the decoded 3D points of the output shape. All transformer blocks used in our architecture build on top of the recently proposed XCIT or cross-correlation attention block due to its memory efficiency when operating on a very long sequence of tokens. The basic idea motivating the design of our new style-modulated transformer block is to inject information derived from the shape code directly into each of the transformer blocks. As a result, the network does not have to waste capacity in storing or propagating this information while carrying it forward to subsequent blocks. A style MLP maps an input shape code into a style code of the same size. Each input is then individually modulated by the style token via multiplication of corresponding feature positions. The intended effect is to emphasize or suppress a subset of features of the input token as guided by the style code at a particular layer of the transformer block. The set of modulated tokens is then fed through a standard XCIT transformer block. This is the block which is responsible for processing each token and exchanging information across the different tokens using self-attention. As modulation happens just before or rather outside the transformer block, it is also possible to use different shape codes to modulate different input tokens as a way of introducing localized shape deformation. The shape code can also be further disentangled into an identity or an expression code for more intuitive control. In our disentangled version, we explicitly split the identity from the expression, where expression blend weights first go through an expression MLP and its output is concatenated with an identity code. The identity code is obtained as before through the encoder by encoding a neutral shape. Employing a transformer allows us to capture arbitrary relationships between points on the underlying shape, as is shown here on an example face. The various self-attention heads can use information from different points at different layers of the model. We demonstrate the benefits of our method on several tasks in application, including familiar 3D shapes such as human faces, hands, and full bodies. Our method is able to successfully represent a wide variety of shapes when trained on these 3 different classes of shapes. We show a quantitative evaluation of our shape transformer's performance on the coma faces dataset in the left. As the table shows, our model provides the lowest average modeling error on this face dataset. The performance of our method on dFaust, which is a full human body dataset, is summarized in the right table. Shape transformer produces competitive results on the dFaust benchmark while being topology independent and thus paving way to several applications that we will demonstrate in a tiny bit. Here, we compare our shape transformer's performance against 2 implicit models. The first is that of deep SDF, and the second is an MLP baseline with no self-attention. Our transformer-based model outperforms both baselines, which showed similarly inferior generalization. Here, We compare the generalization errors on a validation example and also show the faster convergence of our shape transformer compared to a simple MLP baseline that predicts per point offsets from our canonical shape. Here, we show interpolations generated by the shape transformer between two reconstructed 3D faces. The shape transformer is able to produce interesting nonlinear deformations while remaining smooth when interpolating between the source and target shapes. We also show an example of hands where the smooth nonlinear nature of our interpolation is more evident, producing plausible intermediate poses throughout the interpolation. Finally, we show interpolation results on the DFAUST dataset of human bodies. One of the key benefits of the shape transformer is its topology independence, meaning that the model can be trained on one or many different topologies and then evaluated on an unseen topology without retraining. A pre-trained shape transformer can therefore be sampled to produce output shapes in different topologies according to the user's need and application scenario. Here, we show the effect of generating shapes in various output topologies from a model that was trained only on the original topology shown in the far left. Note that the model produces accurate overall geometry for all topologies and also learns to increase the surface detail when the mesh topology permits. For example, the Catmull-Clark subdivision result in the figure has long, thin triangles in the middle of the palm, and the shape transformer is able to create more detailed wrinkles in these regions. We further demonstrate the topology-independent nature of the shape transformer and the robustness of self-attention when decoding outputs with different number of 3D points. As the attention mechanism in the shape transformer naturally depends on the set of vertices sampled for decoding, we provide an evaluation of the reconstruction performance of the coma shape transformer while varying the number of simultaneously sampled locations on the canonical surface. The result of this evaluation shows that the attention produces reasonable deformation for different decoding densities, but the accuracy is best at high resolutions. In a related experiment, we kept the number of sampled points constant but varied their spatial extent to measure the effect of local and global correlations while decoding vertex sets. Intuitively, we reconstruct a vertex while forcing the attention weight to be 0 for all vertices farther away than a given distance. We repeat this experiment for 100 vertices on the face and for 8 different thresholds ranging from 10 mm to 200 mm, allowing the model to capture increasingly global context. We show the average reconstruction error as a function of the neighborhood distance here. Again, leveraging global context via self-attention gives the best results, showing that the shape transformer can effectively balance both local and global spatial correlations. Face models occasionally also have to deal with incomplete data, for example in image-based reconstruction tasks where parts of the face are occluded. It is often the task of the face model to complete these missing regions in a plausible way. Here, we show that shape transformers are extremely well suited for this task. Recall that the shape code in a shape transformer is obtained from an encoder which is also implemented as a transformer and thus is also topology independent. This means that it's sufficient to supply only partial information to the encoder in order to obtain the shape code for decoding. By obtaining a shape code by encoding only the available information on the side of the encoder, and by attempting to reconstruct all points on the side of the decoder, one can in-paint 3D shapes in a simple forward pass using the shape transformer. The model produces successful in-paintings even when only sparse points are fed in. We show successful plausible in-paintings on a validation example where large areas of the input shape are missing. An extreme case of missing input data is to sample a random subset of vertices of the encoded mesh. Our shape encoder is able to still obtain plausible shape codes even under such extreme cases, which we show by slowly reducing the number of encoded vertices. The reconstruction quality degrades gracefully as a function of the number of encoded vertices. We obtain plausible reconstructions even when using only 5% of the input vertices. This experiment is valuable as it supports a real-world scenario of sparse spatial tracking, such as from detected landmarks or motion capture dots. Here, an actor-specific shape transformer is seen in painting facial performances as driven by only sparse motion capture data, and produces accurate and temporally stable reconstructions for dynamic performances. Pushing the number of encoded points further down to a handful of landmarks similar to something that can be obtained from a simple landmark detector continues to show plausible reconstructions. Our style-modulated transformer decoder can operate on arbitrarily high-resolution meshes. Here we build an actor-specific model from 24 high-quality scans of a 3D subject, where each shape consists of 500,000 vertices. Not only is the model able to reconstruct the face well, but is also able to smoothly interpolate between the input shapes. Another interesting way to use our style-modulated decoder is through style mixing. By mixing style codes at different layers of the decoder, we can obtain interesting shape deformations. Like with any other morphable model, the shape transformer can be used to represent or approximate unseen shapes. This is accomplished by asking the pre-trained shape transformer to produce a particular 3D shape by iteratively optimizing for a new shape code that minimizes an L2 loss between the decoded 3D points and the 3D points on the unseen target shape. This option is beneficial for particular shapes that differ from those in the training data, for which the shape code obtained through the encoder is suboptimal. Due to the arbitrary locality of the shape transformer, an user can formulate this optimization, where different shape codes are optimized for different regions of the face, further improving the quality of the fit and the expressivity of the model. In the extreme case, as is shown here, by over-parameterizing the model with a unique shape code for each vertex, one can achieve perfect fits with zero error. Since our model makes use of the canonical shape to sample points during training and inference, here we analyze the model and visualize the effect of sampling outside the canonical domain by modifying the canonical shape in 3 different ways after training. First, we scale the canonical shape. Then we deform the canonical shape. And finally, by rotating the canonical shape as well. The results seem to indicate that our model is more or less invariant to the scale of the canonical shape, but starts to fail understandably for large changes in poses. In the context of modeling faces, a desirable property to have is the ability to disentangle facial identity and expression. We show how the shape transformer can trivially disentangle these semantic components to enable other applications, such as fixing the expression and changing the identity. Here we see an extension of this application in facial performance retargeting, in which the expressions of the source actor are transferred to 2 other actors. We also show an example where the transfer deformation is limited to a small region of the face, using different shape codes for different sets of decoded points. Finally, by sampling new identity codes and querying the shape transformer for semantic expressions, one can even synthesize complete blend shape rigs for new identities. Here, each column corresponds to a new identity and each row corresponds to a specific expression. Note the ability of our model to produce identity-specific expressions as well. In conclusion, we present a new nonlinear parametric 3D shape model based on transformer architectures, which uses the transformer's self-attention mechanism to automatically learn nonlinear spatial correlations. Our model is topologically independent and can be trained once and then evaluated on different mesh topologies, paving way for several interesting applications in shape modeling. We kindly refer to our paper and supplementary materials for more results and evaluations. Thank you for listening.